Well, hey folks, my name is Brad, and if you happen to be new to my videos and channel, in the wintertime, every other week, I'll be posting a video like this. This is a vlog, basically what I'm up to down here in the workshop, little adventures with my friends and family. So if this isn't what you signed up for, I totally get it. Hopefully I will see you here next Friday for a standard metal detecting video. But if you are sticking around for today's vlog, over the last 2 weeks, we had Thanksgiving, and we're kind of preparing for Christmas. Pretty much the entire month of December, I am out straight with my microphone business, fulfilling leather orders, and I haven't filmed a ton of that except the construction of a Christmas gift for a friend that folks may know from the channel. I'm not going to say it outright, but you can probably guess who it is. And in this vlog, I will be constructing a leather belt from complete scratch for this person. So if that's something that you might be interested in, that's the bulk of this week's vlog. Also, we had some family members in town for Thanksgiving, and we visited the Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art. Nunchuck brooms. It is just full of contemporary, abstract art, what you would expect.
You always said you didn't know what that was.
That's the point. But there was a room in there, actually, which was very hands-on, which my son Bentley loved, and we just kind of walked around and made music on all of these homemade instruments. Also, earlier this week, Eddie and I filmed the second to last bit of our new multi-part treasure hunting series, the follow-up to Finding the Vault of DeGrau. We did it, Eddie. We filmed the second to last scene of the show. Went well. So we're in my mom's house. Some behind the scenes stuff here. We're in my mom's house because my house didn't work tonight for some reason, and rearranged one of her rooms to film.
Yeah, it's pretty clean. I thought pretty clean. Not a lot of you know, crazy outtake stuff. And
I mean, you slept through half of it. So
I didn't sleep through any of it. Wow, I skipped the gym to come here, and I get zero gratitude.
And we are not setting a release date yet, but we are 90% confident it's going to be in January, and we are 90% sure it is going to be about a month from when this video is being published. Anything can happen. We have one scene, one kind of sit down, film, talking into the camera thing to film, and if that doesn't happen next weekend like it is scheduled to, we might have to push it back a couple weeks, but that is what we're shooting for, and be prepared to be bombarded by the Grave of Gold content coming up, because this whole channel is going to become nothing but Grave of Gold very soon. And hopefully everybody is going to enjoy it just as much as they did Finding the Vault of DeGrau. And if you are new to this channel and you don't know what Finding the Vault of DeGrau is, there is a playlist of it. It's only 8 episodes, and it's one of the things that I am most proud of on this channel. So go ahead and check that out. And if you want to go to gmmd.us, which is my main website, there is actually a trailer for the Grave of Gold there, if you are curious of what that might be. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to show you my process on how I made this leather belt. So I'm cutting my belt from stock leather, and so I'm going to use this tool, which is a strap cutter. You can see there's a razor blade stuck in the left side of it there, and you just kind of run it down the side of the leather and it cuts a strap, and the numbers on that are not very accurate, so this is just a test strip to make sure it's set to the right width, so it'll fit in my buckle, and it is. So I've now moved on to my large, about half a cow piece of leather, and I don't actually have a table large enough to hold it, so I'm doing it on the floor here, but you can see it just runs along the length of the leather and it cuts nice, perfectly straight straps. And since leather is skin, you know, there's blemishes every once in a while from bug bites or rubbing up against a barbed wire fence. So I'm just cutting off the worst of it from both ends. We move now to my press, where I am cutting a oblong hole here, which is going to be for the buckle. Testing the fit here. Looks good. Use this tool to round some of the edges here. You can see the rivets in the background, which I will be using in just a minute. So I'm going to punch a hole here to accept one of those rivets. And these are full brass rivets. So these I actually have to cut to size and then peen over. Use this tool to push that washer down tight to the leather and it stays put. I cut off some of the extra here. And then on the end of that same tool, there are some recesses, some rounded recesses that will make the end of that cut piece of rivet nice and round and smooth. There we have a nice authentic brass rivet. So off camera, I made this keeper for the, the extra tail of belt, and the edges are fuzzy. Just raw leather, so I put some gum tragacanth on there, and I put it on my little burnisher, and it makes the edges nice and shiny, you can see there. And so now I am painting those shiny edges with a product called Edge Coat, and it will seal in those edges, make them stay nice and shiny, and the black edges look real nice. So now I'm sliding on the keeper, and this leather is not thick enough to be a belt all by itself, so I've actually cut 2 straps, and they're going to get riveted together and then glued together. So here we can see the keeper in place. It's all riveted together, but the 2 pieces of leather strap are not glued together yet, so we have to do that next. And since this leather is actually very nice on the backside, which isn't always the case, I have to scuff it up so that the glue has something to stick to. And the glue I'm using is barge cement, and I have to turn that fan on or I get a headache from this stuff. It's pretty toxic. You can see here I'm slathering it on one side, and the way this stuff works, since it's contact cement, I actually have to do that on both sides, let it dry, and then stick it together. So here we can see it's pretty well dried on both sides. Now slowly, carefully press it together. Rub it with a lot of pressure here to make sure we get out all of the creases and make sure it's well stuck. Cut off the excess. And now I will round off the end of the belt. So now I've moved on to sanding the edges of the belt so that both pieces of leather are exactly flush on the edge. This sanding block is actually an old sharpening stone that I dropped and broke and then glued some sandpaper to it. So this tool is going to be cutting a groove that these stitches will sit in. You can see how deep it is. I'm showing with my awl here. And the reason I do this is so that the stitches sit below the surface of the leather. Way less chance for them to get caught on something or get frayed or get pulled out. And I found that the thickness of thread that I use, 3 firm passes with this tool will get us deep enough. So I do this along the entire length of the belt on both sides. And this step is why sanding the edges is so important, because we want those edges nice and flush so that this groove lines up front to back. Just cutting off a little excess here. So when I did the sanding, sometimes the very corner of the edge gets a little flared out. So this tool, the edge beveler, goes through and cuts that off. And I don't love the lighter color for where the stitching sits. So I am now dyeing the entire belt mahogany. And that'll fill in the recess that I just cut and the edges and make everything a nice uniform color. Do that on both sides. And also, as I was working on it, sometimes it got a little scratched up, and this fills all that in and makes it invisible. So I'm going to let that dry for a little while, and it's time to stitch it together. I went with white thread because I love the look of the mahogany with white thread and the black edges. Everything I make myself is that color scheme. Start off pretty slow to make sure everything's going according to plan, and then I can speed up. You can see all stitched. The stitching is below the surface of the belt. Looks great. So now I have measured out and sized the belt, and I'm punching the 5 holes. There's room on the end for more if the wearer needs to punch some extra holes in the end, but this should be sized perfectly. Here we are, together. Time for my stamp. Put it right on the inside of the belt, right on the end. Here we are. And here you can see I did off camera the edge coating on the belt so that it's nice and shiny all the way around. All right, folks, so I hope you enjoyed today's vlog. Next week, as I mentioned, is going to be another treasure hunting video. I believe it is going to be the last bottle digging video with our friend Greg. Hopefully you'll join us then. Thanks again for watching.